Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to This Week in Bitcoin. Today is January the 11th, 2019. Value your wealth in Bitcoin. Strong hand. Offended by selling. Be a unique beast. Unconfiscatable. Adam forgot to plug in the microphone, and he will do it in the middle of the show. Don't worry, people. You never know what you're going to get. We've got three awesome guests on the show today. Alex Edelman makes his return. Oh, yeah. The other two guests are new to here. Anita Posh. How do you pronounce your last name? Is that correct, Anita?
Yeah, you say posh. We say posh in Austria. Like posh, like spice posh.
Awesome. I met her in Tel Aviv, and that's a whole big story to itself. I know some of you already know the story because I discussed it. She's got a German language podcast, which I want to hear all about the German language Bitcoin community, and she is in Austria. And then we got Nima Tabai, and he is in London, but he's from Calgary originally. How you doing, Nima?
Good. How are you, Adam?
I'm great. I am pumped to have everybody on the show today. I'm in Tel Aviv, and so I'm going to start this off by talking about something that a lot of people are talking about: the Lightning Network, the developments in the Lightning Network specifically. People are sending me different links that are like, "Well, this is an easy app, and your grandmother can use it, your mother can use it." And so I think to myself, is Lightning Network safe yet? And should we be experimenting with people who aren't that technically skilled? And how close are we getting to the point of where everyone's grandmother can use it? So I know, Nima, you know some stuff about this. You have some experience, and you're not a tech guy, so you're a perfect person to ask. So what's going on with this?
Yeah. I guess the key point is I'm not a technical person at all. I'm not a developer. And actually, one thing I will say is, like bear markets have been really kind of boring for me traditionally in Bitcoin because, there's this like kind of the biddle or whatever, the build meme, which is great for developers. But for me, that's been really boring because I can't build anything. And I've kind of been sitting on the sidelines waiting for tools to get built during bear markets that will then, come out probably by the next bull run. But this is the first time that I feel I can actually start doing interesting things because I feel the solutions are getting easy enough that I can actually get involved. And the best example of that is I used Pierre Rochard's node launcher. And I set up my first ever Bitcoin node just over the Christmas holidays this year. I synced with the network. I set up my Lightning wallet. It was all really easy, a lot of one-click stuff. It was still let's say tricky enough that I had to learn, and it forced me to learn more about the Bitcoin network. And I got on Lightning. I had a Zap wallet running, and I was like, holy, like I can actually try and do something. And literally, you don't know if it works until you try. So that's when I realized why Blockstream does the stickers. So I went on and tried to purchase one, and before I even realized it, the transaction went through, and I was like, whoa, I think I just bought something on Lightning. It's really exciting. And I honestly have to say that gives me a lot of positivity about this bear market. There's going to be interesting things for people to do. There's things to experiment on. And I think the next exciting thing in Bitcoin is going to fall out. It's nothing we know about now. It's going to fall out of this type of experimentation. People are going to flock to the network to do things that weren't possible to do a year ago even. And it was just an awesome experience for me. And I recommend that for any non-techies out there. Get the node launcher and try and make it work. It's pretty fun.
All right. So I've said this too. People are talking about, well, what's the killer app with Bitcoin? What's going to take Bitcoin to the next level? And I've said it's something we cannot predict. It just like, in the early days of the internet, they couldn't predict Facebook. That was social media. They couldn't predict that. So I also foresee something being built on top of with Lightning Network that we really can't describe right now. Now, again, I haven't played around with the Lightning Network yet. How about you, Alex? What are your thoughts? Have you played around with it yet? Are you going to incorporate it into Lolli somehow?
Yeah, so we've stayed close with Elizabeth Stark and the team, and we're active in like the Telegram group and the community there. we're super bullish on the project and developments, especially as of late. It's been really exciting. Our team sort of takes like a little bit of a different approach. We do not. I mean, it's the same reason we didn't rush into other cryptocurrencies. We're only focused on Bitcoin. I think when we launched and when we were building Lolli, we had a lot of pressure to offer a bunch of different cryptocurrencies, and then I think we made the right decision with this crash. I think we would have had a lot of work on our hands and a lot of negative press around like shilling tokens, and so I sort of like take this like long view approach of we don't need or want to be first to use Lightning in order to incorporate better ways incorporate Lightning into the live like Lolli app. I'm personally like the thing that Elizabeth and I are really excited about working together on is the fact that our long game is her long game, and there's a lot of overlap with where we want Lolli to be for the consumer and what she wants Lightning to be for developers. So where we see Lolli going is like right now, everybody wants to earn Bitcoin and a lot of people don't want to spend it. We have these partnerships with now 750 different retailers. I think last time I was on the show, we had 500. We have these top retailers on board that are perfectly okay with like encouraging people to come to their site, buy the products that they sell, and then we give them Bitcoin. In the future, once everybody has Bitcoin and the retailers want to encourage a global audience to spend Bitcoin on their site and earn more rewards because they're not paying credit card networks, what they can do is they could eventually use Lightning to pay more efficiently and have immediate verification from the Lightning network. So that's the thing like we're most excited about. We don't have to be in any rush. We're not doing payments. We're just giving people free Bitcoin. And that's perfectly fine for us right now.
All right. And we're going to talk more about Lolli later in the show. If you're curious, though, it is linked to below. All of these guest links are below what they're dealing in. Anita, tell us, you got to use the Lightning Network, I think you told me, in Tel Aviv. So tell us some of your Lightning Network thoughts and your experience with it.
Yeah, it's true. I did my very first Bitcoin Lightning transaction in the Tel Aviv Bitcoin Embassy. They've built a screen where you can buy snacks or a beer with Lightning. And actually, it was really very easy. I mean, I was astonished. I pushed the button to pay and looked at my smartphone, the next phone. I looked at the screen and it said it's paid. So it was really like less than a second or something. So actually it works, but I think it's too early for any end user to come in because as far as I know, you've got to be reckless to use it at the moment because there are still bugs and many things to do. The good thing or the funny thing is I just had made a podcast episode with a guy called René Pickard. He's one of the contributors to the Lightning Network, and he is also writing a book on Lightning now, or he started it at the moment. And he also said there are great improvements, but it might last another 1 or 2 years until the Lightning Network is for the end user.
Okay, so I mean, we got to be patient. I'm very patient with it, but I just keep on hearing these examples of people using it. You used it, and Nima, what was the name of Blue Wallet or something? There was something with blue in it.
Yeah, I think Blue Wallet came out. I think a couple of weeks ago. I tested it out, so I sent myself money from my Zap wallet to my Blue Wallet. Again, it worked, really seamlessly. I think there's, I saw a bit of pushback on Twitter about the fact that some of these mobile wallet solutions right now are being done without Neutrino. So they're actually custodial solutions, which I think, personally, I also agree is not ideal. But, what really actually excites me about Lightning is not the transaction itself, but the simple fact that we now have a network that is attracting application developers, front-end, web developers, UX, etc., that want to come and now build cool stuff in Bitcoin. And Lightning is soon going to be the best way to take your crazy idea and test it in the market and see if people are willing to pay for it, etc. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about, Adam. That's going to lead to things we can't predict. You know, what are all the great ideas out there that can't be monetized right now that could be with Lightning? That's really exciting for me.
Yes. The future is bright. How far down the road? We're going to be patient. We're going to pound that like button, though. You can follow me on Twitter at TechBalt, TechBalt. Okay, I want to go back to Anita, and I want to talk about this German language Bitcoin community, because obviously I don't know the German language. I don't follow I haven't ever had anybody from Austria on the show. I was actually trying to get Max, who's on the World Crypto Network, who I believe is in Germany, on the show. But hey, he couldn't make it today. We're going to have people are going to start speaking German. I had this whole thing planned. It doesn't matter. Anita's going to tell us, though, what is in the Germany, Austria, very modern, wealthy countries. What's the big crypto thing there? People in the ICOs, people in the Bitcoin network, altcoins. What's going on?
Yeah, of course, there's also a Bitcoin community in Austria as well as in Germany. As you know, Austria is actually the starting point or the origin of the Austrian School of Economics, which is a part of Bitcoin as well, of course. There was a survey in this summer where it was said that 2 to 5% of the population own some kind of cryptocurrency. I'm not quite sure if this is true or if this was in the bull market run, but about 75% of the population know about Bitcoin. So there are, as well as in Germany, as in Austria, there are a lot of Bitcoin meetups and groups. And also in Austria, we have 2 free companies who are working on Bitcoin stuff, like you might know Bitpanda or Coinfinity and others as well. So it's a small but vibrant community, I'd say. And I thought I go into this educational stuff because there is lots of information and education in English, but not so much in German. And that's why I started to write a book, or I've written a book, and I started my podcast.
Yeah, I think it is a great idea to create this German language versions of books, podcasts, etc. Because there's definitely an English language bias in the space. There's no doubt about it. I'm speaking about France the other day, and some people from France were saying, well, there's not that many people in the Bitcoin because there are no French podcasts. Now, probably someone's going to correct me and say there's a French podcast, but from if there's a French podcaster, you're welcome to come on the show. I'd love to hear about what's going on in France. So going back to the German speaking, are you the only German podcast you know of, or are there others?
No, I think there are 1 or 2 others, but I'm the only Austrian one, and the others are in Germany. But it's in German as well. But yeah.
Yeah. So I linked to it below. Some of your shows are in English, though, right?
Yeah, that's true, because some of my guests, or actually most of my guests, are English speaking. So Safety Amos, Andreas Antonopoulos, and then I had how's it called?
Well, what's the lawyer?
Pardon?
The lawyer. What's her name from Chicago? The lawyer.
Thank you. Yeah, Pamela Morgan was on the show as well, talking about inheritance planning for crypto assets. And next up will be Renee. And after that, I'll have Aaron van Wirdum, the editor, the journalist, and Alena Vranova. I met both in Tel Aviv at the Bitcoin Israel Summit. And Alena is the co-founder from Trezor, and now she's at Casa.
And she's actually speaking at the Bitcoin Embassy on, I believe
Sunday.
On Sunday. So I'm going to be there. I'll get to meet her.
That's great. That's great.
And when you enter, Aaron's been on the show before. He's from Belgium, right? Does he know German?
Yeah. No, he doesn't speak German.
Okay. I thought maybe you're going to do a German one with him. Well, anyway, I want to know also with Austria and just the German language speaking community, are there any altcoins that they favor, or what's your position? Are you a Bitcoin maximalist? Or?
I would tend to say I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. Yeah. I don't say that all the other coins are shit coins. Many of them are, but it might, of course, be that something else comes up in the next years. I have no idea. I can't predict the future. But from the concept itself, I believe in Bitcoin. And yes, there are, of course, as everywhere, many altcoins around, and also very many scams. We have many scams here. And I think IOTA was very hyped in the last years, and also Ripple. I mean, the Ripple community is, I don't have words for it, because it never happened to me that somebody added me to a Telegram group without asking me. And yeah, that was Ripple, of course.
So it's funny you bring up IOTA, because I mean, when I was in a year ago, when I was in South Korea, they were talking about IOTA. That reached its hands everywhere. I call them the altcoin flavors of the month. So no matter what country you're in, you're gonna get hit by one of them.
And you know, we also maybe you know Julian Hosp from 10x.
Yes,
10x?
yeah.
So he's Austrian as well, yeah. And but I think it's not sounding so good at the moment what they are doing.
Wait, he's Austrian?
Julian Hosp is Austrian, yeah.
Oh my God! Well, yeah, he's not. He's controversial.
Yeah. Let's say it so. Let's put it so.
That's a nice way of putting it. I haven't talked about that 10x thing. People, you can Google that. That's another. We try to avoid this type of I was going to ask you if there were any other big names in Austria that we should know about, and then you say that. But are there any other ones that we should know?
Positive ones. Yeah, as I said, the guys from Bitpanda, for instance, they are doing their exchange, and I think they are doing a good job. Also, the guys from Coinfinity, they just produced, it's called Card Wallet. It's a cold storage for Bitcoin, like a paper wallet, but it's made by the Austrian National, oh my God, how is it called? Austrian National Printers or something. You know, it's the company that prints our passports and stuff. So it's a highly secure thing. So
well, speaking of the nation of Austria, I mean, are they laying off Bitcoin, the government, or are they trying to regulate?
No, they're trying to regulate. I mean, interesting fact is we in Austria have the highest concentration of Bitcoin ATMs worldwide. At least it was last year the way. And in Germany, they only have one Bitcoin ATM, because you have to have a banking license there to be able to put on an ATM. We have tax regulations, so that means if you, for instance, hold your coins for more than 12 months, you don't pay taxes on it, but you cannot reduce your tax in the other way, you know what I mean?
Tax laws. Well.
So there are tax laws, but there's not now a real regulation, but they're working on it.
Yeah, you actually read my mind, because I was going to ask you to compare Germany to Austria. Do any Germans try to open to do their Bitcoin business through Austria? I would think if the regulations were better in Austria, that Germans would try to.
I think what they are doing is when they live next to the border, they might come over and go to a Bitcoin ATM, because in Austria it's the way that if you're under 250 euros, which is about $230, you don't need to do your registration, so you can do it without ID. So you come over, yeah.
That's nice. That's a little shortcut there.
That's a shortcut. Yeah.
People can do those things if they want to. Okay, now I'm sure the other guys have questions for you too. I have one final question. You brought it up. Austrian School of Economics. Does that base from so long ago, or that people still carry on? Does that influence the Austrian opinion of Bitcoin? Does it seep into the I don't know, the German language?
No. I don't think so. It's like everywhere in the world, like in the US as well, only a small percentage of people know about it. And I think it's the other way around. If you discover Bitcoin, you discover this school of economics and see the world from a different point of view.
That is amazing that you're saying Austrians don't even know. They don't even know about the Austrian School of Economics.
No.
Oh my God, that's very interesting. That's why we talk to people on the ground in these countries. Okay, Nima and Alex, do you have any questions?
I have a question about just mining, because I know, Austria, my experience in the energy industry tells me Austria has a lot of hydro energy, because you have mountains and reservoirs. And I was wondering, is there Bitcoin mining happening there? Because in Canada, hydro energy has attracted a lot of Bitcoin miners, for example.
Yeah, yes, it is. So I know one miner personally, but I'm not sure if he's using water for it. But I know that even bigger companies experiment with it and use their water to their water energy from water to mine. So yes, it is a thing.
Very interesting. Alex, any questions for Anita?
No, I was looking up some just like communities on across the web. It looks like there's some pretty active like meetup groups in Austria with Bitcoin, and I always try to see like what's going on the ground floor, what the activity is, how many people gone. It seems like a good indicator. But yeah, are you a member of any of those or?
Yeah. Do you hear me? Yeah. Yeah, I'm a member of Bitcoin Austria. I'm the president of the Digital Asset Association Austria. And I also go to other meetups like the Token Engineering meetup. And I went to the Bitcoin Germany meetup in Berlin, which was the room 66, I think, which is actually the first place, I think, in the world where you could pay your beer with Bitcoin.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is German excuse me, is the German Bitcoin meetup that you went to, was it larger than the Austrian one? More people showing up?
Actually, this one was pretty small because it was in this bar, and this bar is very small, but it has a longer tradition. And Berlin in itself has a very high tradition as a startup town where many startup companies are, and also Bitcoin and blockchain companies.
Okay, well, this is I love hearing all this on the ground stuff. I'm still kind of shocked that they didn't know about the Austrian School of Economics in Austria, and that Bitcoin brings some Austrians to the realization of the Austrian School of Economics. Okay, guys, no inflation, strong hand. All right, thank you, Anita, for that. We're gonna move on to. I want Alex to talk about his thing now, Lolli. Talk about. A lot of people have seen you on the show before. They know about Lolli. They know what you do, but it generally explain what Lolli is and what's going on with it here in 2019.
Yeah, so at its core, Lolli is a rewards application that rewards people with Bitcoin when they shop online. So I think last time we were on the show, as I mentioned, we had 500 retailers. I think, Adam, you were the first person to interview us right around our launch. So yeah, I guess we've grown a lot over the last 4 months since we were on the show. We've learned a lot about our retailers, our customers, what they're looking for. Travel has been our biggest category by far. I think a lot of people going to conferences, going to I don't know, travel has just been really big for us. Priceline has been an incredible partner. People are earning Bitcoin when they book travel with like hotels, flights, all that good stuff. We have some really big partnerships that we're going to announce this month and next in the travel space. Essentials, companies like Overstock, Walmart, Jet have done really well. We haven't gotten Amazon on board yet, but that's a work in progress. And then, yeah, we're seeing about an average order value, about $80. Conversion rates are way higher than, so we're seeing about a 9% average conversion rate for retailers. Across retail, conversion rates are around like 1%. So I think when somebody is incentivized with Bitcoin, the retailer likes that as well. And the nice part for Bitcoiners is that the better association that retailers have with the Bitcoin audience, somebody who is loyal to Bitcoin, the more that they want to accept Bitcoin as a native currency on their site. So I think we're seeing a lot of really good signs. A lot of people I'm really excited to educate the consumer and to be like a very easy on-ramp. But one of the cool parts about the business over the last several months has been educating retailers about what Bitcoin is. I go into a lot of meetings with our retailers and they have no idea what Bitcoin is. And I have to explain it to them. And the way that I found that has been the easiest is to explain it to them as a point system. Everybody's familiar with points. And I just explain Bitcoin as basically points without borders, and it's self-regulating. You don't have Chase or any of the banks or any arbitrary point systems. It's very clear what the rules are, what the protocol is, and you can use Bitcoin anywhere. There's no walls. And so that's been a really good way of explaining and selling into retailers and helping them understand it. Right now we have about 70% male, 30% female. And while that may seem like really high on the male side, I think it's actually astronomically high on the female side to see 30% of a project be a female audience, which it was like something I wanted, but you can't force, something to happen. So we worked really hard to get retailers like Ulta and Sephora that are attracting a female audience. And so that's gone really, really well. I think we announced Sephora right before Christmas last year, and they've become one of our top retailers since. Age group is around 20 to 30. That's pretty much like right on what we thought it was going to be, a younger audience. And yeah, it's been a really great holiday. So
I gotta say that 30%. Wait a second. Somebody's echoing me here. Someone do okay. 30%. Female is incredibly high. Generally in Bitcoin, it's about 5% female. I mean, from what I've encountered. So that is quite amazing. And it just happened naturally. That's awesome. I'm interested. When you reach out to these retailers, to these partners, do they know about this so-called Bitcoin fiat bear market? Does that turn them off? Do they know about the price volatility? Have they made any comments? Has that turned them off at all?
No, that's been, I think, really cool to see. Like, I don't really think about price very much. I know it is relevant for our business, but I think that what we're really doing is we're offering people a scarce resource. They don't necessarily care the day-to-day price. They know that it has value because they see it on MSNBC, on Fox News, and they see people talking about it, but they might haven't like listen. I have this. I really believe in like having skin in the game, and once you have skin in the game, like I guess it's how I got involved. I didn't have a lot of Bitcoin when I got involved, but I had a little bit, and it just kept me in the space and kept me like paying attention. And so one thing I've found is like I think it's about 50-50 of our users. Half of them are like Bitcoin maximalists, like they want more Bitcoin, and then the other half are brand new. And so we're building a product for two very, very different audiences, and we're having to cater to both, which has been a really exciting, interesting thing. It's like keep it dead simple, but also offer these like really hardcore features that people care about. Bring your own wallet, this deep security, being very transparent about everything we're doing, all the good stuff. The thing with the new users that we've been trying to understand who they are, why did they join? They're all like they've seen Bitcoin, they've heard people talk about it, they're really like excited for it, but they don't know why. They just know that they're missing out, and so it's our job, I think, as being their first wallet, to educate them along the way and say that it's not all about price. Price is exciting because you'll make more money if it goes up and everybody believes that it has value, but you have to understand why it's important, and it's more than just price.
It's good to hear about a company like yours. I mean, you're thriving. You're doing well. I mean, we just heard Shapeshift fired people, and seems like you're expanding and everything. So this is good news. Panel members, do you have any questions for Alex about Lolli? It's linked to below, by the way, everyone that's watching the show.
Yeah, I would be interested in where he gets the Bitcoin from. I mean, how does it work?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So yeah, we work with these retailers, and we form this partnership with them where when we send users to their sites and they purchase, we get a percentage of that. And in a lot of business models, the consumer never knows that the partner is getting that money for referring the user. But what we do is what's called like a cashback model, where we actually pass that incentive to the user. Thus, we get more users, the retailer gets more sales, and the cycle keeps going and going and going. And we take a very small percent every time that we have a transaction. So all the incentives are aligned. We only make money. I think it's, I don't want to hate on any of the exchanges, but the exchanges are incentivized by you buying all these coins and transferring the coins because they get a fee. And so the incentives are not aligned to stick with Bitcoin or stick with it, whatever the right currency is. We are totally aligned with the consumer because our incentive is just when you buy something, we make money, you make money, the retailer makes money, everyone's aligned. So eventually, like, yes, we want to be open to having other currencies if they prove to be great currencies or great stores of value and they have a lot of demand for our users. But we don't really have the incentive to offer thousands of altcoins if they haven't proved their value to the world, which is why we can sort of like wait on that and I think be hopefully smart in our decisions there.
But at the moment, it's on. Excuse me. Do you hear me? At the moment, it's only for people in the US, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. There's I mean, you know, the regulations involved there. Maybe we're being overly cautious, but yeah, I think that we've been smart in being cautious in the past of like how fast we grow. We have basically like a lot of our partners are almost most excited about the global audience because they're getting a US audience with their cashback program. The really exciting thing for a lot of our retailers is they know that Bitcoin is a global reward system and it attracts a global audience. And so that is definitely part of the conversation is that we will scale quicker because when you think about how cashback works, if I'm in Germany and I'm buying from a US brand and say we were to do the same model with cashback, think about the inefficiencies that would occur if I had to transfer to the euro. Basically, that $5 US dollars would have to transfer. By the time it got to you, it would be like $2, $3 in euros with the transferring fees, with getting it into your wallet, with sending you maybe a check. And so it's super inefficient. With Bitcoin, it's sort of like when you earn and when you have this cashback model, and because it's this reward system, everybody fully recognizes that it's on the same wallet. And so you don't have to do any transferring. Once we have converted to Bitcoin as a batch, everybody recognizes it and you don't have to convert it. And so everyone can just hold this universal rewards system. So it scales way better than our cashback competitors. Like my last company, for instance, was bought by Ebates, which is part of my familiarity and I hate saying expertise, but I think our team is really smart. We're building it with the same team as my last company. We just hired another one of our old employees. So the band's like getting back together and we're just basically building Ebates for Bitcoin is the simple way of looking at it.
Nima, were you about to say something before?
Yeah, I had a question for Alex. I'm really excited about this. I didn't know about your company and it sounds really cool. And to hear the mainstream names that you have on board, what do you see the pathway towards getting them? You know, you mentioned like potentially accepting Bitcoin as for payments or even holding it themselves or transacting in Bitcoin rather than just providing the reward.
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's something that we've been thinking about since we started this thing. So the actually like, where my interest lies is, and if you look at like my last company, our mission was to democratize commerce, give everybody the ability to buy and sell anywhere. And halfway through building it, my team and I learned about Bitcoin and we got really, really excited because Bitcoin has the democratization of commerce embedded in a currency. And we were just like, everything that we wanted to build is like in Bitcoin, but there was no real incentive at the time to integrate, Bitcoin in my last company. There was just no real business case there. And that was, we started last company 7 years ago. So, and learned about Bitcoin, 5 years ago. So I think that like the thing that I learned that I'm glad that I started Cosmic and it was more of a payments company. It was basically this e-commerce gateway that would basically help these retailers sell in these different channels, thus reducing the need for them to be on the right platform. Like IBM could be on the same platform as Shopify, and all the retailers from Target down to like a bracelet maker in Namibia could be selling in the same channels. And if you think about that at scale, that's like kind of what Bitcoin is doing. And we were doing it as like an enterprise technology. So I think that's really important for what my answer is. And my answer is like, I realized like in order to have, to convince a retailer, to convince a major company to do something, you have to have leverage. and you have to give them an incentive to change, right? Like with all of the, like, you know, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus because we've had so many pioneers in the Bitcoin payment space, and there's plenty of people that are accepting and using Bitcoin payments, cross-border payments, and there's plenty of use cases without, you know, the traditional consumer at play. What our long game is like, we want all of these retailers that we're working with to accept it. And so in order to do that, I have to tell them this story. I have to show them proof that we can bring a valuable consumer to them. So when I come to them in a year and I say, hey, Overstock, well, Overstock's a bad example because they already accept it. Walmart's a good example. When I go to Walmart in a year and I say, hey guys, I want you to accept Bitcoin, and I want you to use Lolli to do it securely. If I have to come to them with a story and I have to come to them with data, and if I come to them with you know, $5 million in sales over the last year that we've sent them, and this, like, you know, excited, engaged audience, they're going to be way more attuned to integrating Bitcoin payments. That's how we get 750 and probably at that point thousands of retailers on board to accept Bitcoin. And that's when Lightning gets really exciting, because we bring them, like, they're like, wait a second, Bitcoin's really slow, Bitcoin doesn't scale. And we're like, no, let me tell you about something called Lightning. And we integrate Lightning. We give Walmart the ability to accept Lightning payments. We do it securely through Lolli. We let people do custodial through Lolli, and we let people do pay with Bitcoin wallets with their own addresses. That's when I think, like, at whatever stage that is, and we're having this conversation every day with these retailers, so we're going to have a really good idea when the timing is right. But I think you'll see it with Lolli. Like, when we launch, hopefully we'll be like right in there. Like, we have these relationships. I don't see a lot of these other Bitcoin payment relationships with the major retailers. So I hopefully will be first if we keep executing.
Dude, this is exciting stuff. The future is bright. I like where you're going with this, Alex. All right. Got everyone heard about Lolli now. Do check it out. Link to below. We're going to move on to FUD. It's time to enter the FUD core. Not and doubts. And Nima about this headline here. This is from Forbes. Classic suffers 51%. Experts consider, will Bitcoin be next? Oh God, Nima, what were your thoughts on the Ethereum Classic happenings this? I mean, that headline seems to be, you know, putting some fear and doubt in the big. It didn't happen to Bitcoin. It happened to the Ethereum Classic. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any real opinion on Ethereum Classic or any other. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't have a particular opinion on the coin itself, but I think what this demonstrates is kind of, again, a network effect in security. Proof of work chains are only secure when they really have the majority of the hash power. The hash power is, again, just an analogy for the amount of energy. So we can almost think of it as megawatts of energy that is expended to secure a chain. And I think right now the market is really naive. Like, people talk about blockchains as if they're inherently secure, but they're only as secure as the amount of megawatts of energy that mines that chain actively to secure it. And I think this is something that has to play out. I think we're going to see more of this. I know that guys like Matt Odell, he's put out calls to say, hey, let's 51% attack other chains. This is supposed to be an adversarial space. And if chains are weak, then, that's the way it should go. And frankly, I think in the short term, that might be painful for people. But in the long run, this is going to make the whole space a lot stronger and a lot more secure. We're going to see a migration towards the most secure chain.
All right. Let me ask Alex, you're a Bitcoin guy. People have asked you to use altcoins in your service. Did you have any thoughts about what happened to Ethereum Classic and about the title of that article too?
I mean, we get asked just about every day to add a new coin, and from the creators of the project, everything, and I'm not against. Okay, there's a few that I'm against, and I won't name names, but I think and Anita said it right. It's like there probably will be something else that looks like Bitcoin and might be better than Bitcoin. And I'm not so naive to think that like we are like, just show it to me and prove it to me is my whole thing. I have not seen it yet. And so every time I read, a white paper or look into something new or hear a lot of buzz about like a new technology that looks interesting, like I read into it, I wait, I think about it, and we're gonna see a lot of things that like Ethereum Classic, and I'm glad that we didn't offer Ethereum Classic in the early days, because this would have been a mess. Like if I would have had to go to all of our users and say, hey, all the Ethereum Classic that you had, and keep in mind, if 50% of our users have never had any sort of dealings in cryptocurrency, and all of a sudden they get an email saying, what is a 51% attack? What is happening? And why did I get this like fake currency when I could have gotten Bitcoin, when I could have gotten cash? It turns people off to the space. So it's like our responsibility to not play in this game until it's figured out. We're just not going to be a first mover in offering these sort of tokens. And if Ethereum Classic goes and wins and becomes great, like that's awesome. We'll use it. But at this point, like so many of these projects have so many things to figure out and progress to make that they have not yet.
Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin, is what I say. To pound that like button. You bring up a great point though, about messing around with these altcoins. If you're a business, Coinbase has been selling this Ethereum Classic to people, and now they got to deal with this. That's why you stick with the rock. This isn't going to happen in the Bitcoin. Such a situation. These altcoins all have various levels of risk and various levels of centralization and hackability, et cetera, et cetera. I know, Anita, I'm wondering your thoughts on blockchain over Bitcoin type of people. That's where this kind of story leads me. That people kind of confused when something happens to an altcoin, they think, oh, this is bad for Bitcoin. They get confused. Do you encounter a lot of that? In where you're coming from, German language type of stuff. People who all sounds like a bunch of noise, and it just turns them off from Bitcoin.
Yeah, of course. The whole blockchain, not Bitcoin stuff is that way, actually. When I started with this, I didn't know what is what, It's not so easy. If you have no idea, you don't know that Bitcoin is the original first blockchain and that the others came afterwards, and all those things like, I don't know, other kinds of blockchains without mining and without coins, and that these are completely different things, and for other purposes they don't know it. And actually I think that's one of the points I want to show to people, that there are big differences in the kind of applications you can build on top of different blockchains, and not to be confused by that all. And I think that's the most important thing, is to understand what Bitcoin does. Then you can decide if any of the other coins or any of the other blockchain applications is interesting for you. So I think it's really very important to know the basics.
Yes, you start with the Bitcoin. A lot of people jump into IOTA first or something, and then that's not a good starting point there. All right, let's. Oh, there you are.
So now back.
Adam, I think you cut out for a second.
You got me, Nima?
Yeah.
Bitmain? Thoughts?
We didn't hear you for the last 20 seconds. I think you cut out.
Yes, now you're back. No.
Oh, you guys hear me?
Yes.
Who?
No, it stopped again.
So I think he asked about Bitmain.
Yeah, I think you did.
So yeah, you wanna go in and just start? Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess the headline is, Bitmain, quite a bit of financial trouble. It's finally coming out of the wash. I think a lot of people have been predicting this for a while. And, for me personally, I mean, so I've done my MBA last year and we did a lot of case studies on strategy at companies. And I was just shocked at watching the whole Bitmain thing unravel. I mean, it is strategic mismanagement on an epic scale, I would have to say. I do not understand how these guys made the decisions that they made. This is like kind of the outcome of the SegWit2X drama. They've had a lot of time to realize where the market's going. And the decisions that they made in supporting Bcash so vehemently, ultimately leads to this outcome. So I'm still shocked that their investors let them carry this on as long as they did. Really going counter to the market, counter to their customers. I mean, I bought an S9 miner from them. I was forced to buy Bcash. They forced me to pay in an inferior form of money. I don't know a lot of companies that have ever done that potentially in history. It was unbelievable. I think at the end of the day, it was probably driven by ego and hubris, which are dangerous things. And it'll be a valuable lesson. I hope it will be a valuable lesson that, companies will look at in the future, that, don't try to railroad this thing into your own vision. You're here for the ride, and it's not your project. Bitcoin is bigger than any one company. So personally, I don't have any tears.
All right. Am I back? Can people see me actually? Me? Am I on? Does anyone see me? Okay, good. It's unfortunate. I don't know what's going on. Right. Alex, did you have thoughts on Bitmain at all?
Yeah, I think like, I agree with what Nima was saying about the mismanagement. But I also think that I mean, I'm biased because I'm a founder, but I do think like having two senior leaders that have been leaving a project, and one that is so big and so important in the space, it's going to like leave this sort of like ripple effect. I think it leaves Bitmain to be pretty vulnerable, because anytime I think investors that do not have the alignment with the goals of the company, they have the alignment with the financial incentives of the company, and not so much of the customer or the project, which is ultimately like mine Bitcoin or mine cryptocurrencies at profit, is sort of their goal. What does that become when investors are purely looking for profit and not necessarily looking for long-term outcome? And so do they, what tokens do they start mining? Like, are they optimizing not for what the best token is, but for like what, the most profitable token is? And that's sort of this like scary proposition to see. While maybe the leadership has not made the right decisions and probably was already making those decisions, I do not necessarily think a pawn of an investor or a pawn that investor places is going to make better decisions than the original CEOs that were there. And then Bitmain is a massive company with a lot of employees, and having senior leadership leave, having like sort of a little turmoil, security vulnerabilities like sort of scare me with that sort of mix up. And maybe it's a good thing. Maybe like Bitmain was making Bitcoin and other currencies too centralized, and companies like have a tough time scaling even in the centralized world, for any business. And maybe it's a good thing to have this sort of like major centralized company be broken up a little bit.
Dudes, I hope everybody can hear me now. Pound that like button if you enjoy technical difficulties. So let's wrap up the show. We're getting toward the hour mark here. But I want Nima, you do some stuff in renewable energy. Tell us the connection to Bitcoin and mining, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think Bitcoin is going to be a huge boon for renewable energy. And the reason I'll tell you is this. What most people don't realize is that energy generation is not difficult. Energy monetization is very difficult. We're essentially forced to sell our energy to the grid. The prices for that are set by regulators, and there's really no market for energy in any given grid. That's the big barrier. You can put up solar panels on your roof, but you're only going to get paid what the system will pay you. What Bitcoin introduces, and mining in general, is a different pathway to monetization for energy, and it starts to introduce more of a free market. And this will take years to play out, but I think this is going to be one of the biggest benefits of mining, is alternate pathways to monetization for assets. And examples of that will be, for example, like the north of Scotland is very windy. It's one of the best wind resources in the world. But if you build wind turbines there, what are you going to do with the power? You either have to get it down to London or the south of England, or do something locally. What if you can just mine directly and monetize the wind power regardless of location? So it kind of decouples renewable assets from their geography and from the grid. So huge potential there. It'll take years to play out because it's infrastructure investment, but I think it's very bullish.
All right. Yes, it may take a while. We could defer gratification. The future is bright. Who knows what'll be going on in 2024? Well, sticking with you, Nima, is there any thoughts? These are the conclusionary part of the show. Anything that I left out? Anything you just wanted to bring up?
I think the main thing I want to bring up is emphasize that, hey, even if you don't know what you're doing with a command line, you can set up a Bitcoin node. You can set up a Lightning wallet. You can be reckless with $10 worth of BTC, and it's fun. And definitely try it out. Check out the node launcher from Pierre Rochard. It enabled me to do it, and if I can do it, any idiot can. Awesome conclusion. All right, Anita, thank you for coming on the show, and Nima, thank you also, of course, for making your debut. Anita, it was a great debut. Any conclusionary thoughts? Anything you want to say about the German language? What's going on over there in Bitcoin? Anything that's on your mind? Any stuff out?
Well, yeah, thanks for having me. It was great and fun to be on the show. And for me personally, I would say 2019 is very much about Bitcoin, not crypto, and Bitcoin, not blockchain. So actually my stuff I want to work on is going more into the direction of Bitcoin and the topic of privacy, for instance. I think privacy is a very, very interesting and important factor. It could differentiate Bitcoin from other, like Facebook coin, Google coin, etc. stuff. And also with Lightning, I would say the same. Try it with small amounts of money and use it. And for the longer future, I'm also very positive.
All right. That's some good remarks right there. Alex, you're going to tie it all together now. What was left off? Anything you want to say? Anything about your company? Anything?
Well, first off, thank you for having me back. Really appreciate it. Love everything that you're doing for the space. And I appreciate you being a long time and early and maybe first believer in Lolli. So really thank you for that and believing in us and the team. The team and I love your show. So thank you. And then, for anyone listening out there that's interested in earning that $10 in Bitcoin to get skin in the game, to just get involved. We're making it easy. Check it out and get involved, tweet about it and share it with your friends. I think it is the easiest way not only to earn Bitcoin, but also to get friends involved. Everybody shops. And so it separates the need to tell your friends to invest, which is a way harder ask. And it gets your friends to say, hey, like, you're already going to go buy toilet paper. Why don't you earn Bitcoin when you do it? We're here for that. Thanks again, Nima and Anita. It was great meeting you all, and look forward to staying in touch with everybody. Take care.
Well, speaking of toilet paper, this is from the Anita. Did you see that this was at the Tel Aviv party?
I didn't see this, but I got some of these. Can you see it?
Oh, nice.
And this one. They were also there.
They're hardcore here at the Tel Aviv Bitcoin Embassy. It was a great party, and Anita, it was great to meet you in person at the party. Okay, we had a fun time here. We were partying on the This Week in Bitcoin show.
That's
And
awesome.
we come every Friday. The This Week in Bitcoin shows on this channel. I post a new show every day. Saturday is the Beyond Bitcoin show. We're probably going to do again next Friday. It'll probably be at 1 p.m. London time here. The time varies a lot. I'm trying to, America. I know it's early in the morning, especially like on the West Coast. But hey, watch the show. You don't have to watch it live, people. It's taped. Disrupt.com. All my old shows. Thank you, guest. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share this video. Check out the links below. My voice is a little sore. Pound that like button, bang that bell button. Follow me at TechBot on Twitter. Shabbat Shalom. I am out of here. Thank you all. See ya.
Thank you.